Okay, so we finally have the Christine Mill Leclerc. Our next speaker is Christine Mill Leclerc. Christine is a German artist who works at the interface of artistic and scientific research. His speech title is Curation. So please join me in welcoming Christine.
Thank you very much. Hi, thanks for having me. My name is Christian Leclerc, and today I would like to run you through some of the works I've been creating in the last year. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. And most of all, however, I would like to describe why this is important and what I think we can gain from this. So first of all, let me please share my screen. Can you see this?
Yes.
Perfect. Perfect. So for my background, I'm actually a computer scientist since the beginning of the 90s, and I started coding as a child in order to play and find out what are the interesting things that I can find from a machine, because I know this machine is not alive, and yet to me it always looked alive. It looked to me like it could create colors, it could create characters, it could give me new kinds of interaction, and to me that was like life, even though I know that the box is dead. At the same time, I tried the opposite. I tried to see if a machine can be also portrayed by a human. So can humans become robots and can robots become humans? That is roughly how I would like to sum up the last 30 years. So not only I was a computer scientist, but I had also the chance to travel all over the world and actually dance on stages and trying to become robotic. Now, I don't know, today I don't dance too much, but I remember that I learned that the closer you get to a robot and the more you investigate how robots move, you don't necessarily investigate machines. What you investigate are humans. You basically have to investigate yourself in order to find out how you could move like a robot, because the most complicated thing is not the robot. It is actually the human that tries to breathe, a human that tries to blink. That has been what I did for many years. And later on, my two passions of computer science and movement have combined. And I tried to create bigger stage theaters in which I could create immersive landscapes where dancers move through space. And today I would like to speak about why we have this encounter of especially artificial intelligence in those years and humans, and what we can find as they overlap. And I do believe what we find and see is actually the last resorts, let's say, of what is truly important to us as humans. And what's truly holy to us as humans are the following two features. First of all, we are able to think about ourselves. And this ability to think about ourselves is not something that many species on our planet can copy. And it seems to be a very unique, even holy feature to us, that we are able to reflect, that we see ourselves in the mirror, but not only um, our our physical existence, but also we think about ourselves and we try to improve. We try to reflect how we act to others. Now that is one sensation, and the other is that as soon as we know about ourselves, we know that we are created, and all of a sudden we want to become creators ourselves, which means what is creative? Creative is when we create something into the world that hasn't been there before and that is not expected. So we think it's going to be this, a creative comes around the corner and creates that. And all of a sudden it is there, and it wouldn't have been there without that person. That is, we give birth to new ideas that we place into the world, and that is the creative. And very often we believe today that the machine can't do neither of those two. It can't think about itself and it can't be creative. And I think it can, and then we need to find new sensations about us humans. The first one is the self. The self is actually just a research that we stumbled upon while looking into this algorithm. It is an algorithm that is able to translate an image into a text. So you show that AI this image, those 2 million pixels, and it gives you back a precise description in one sentence what the AI thinks is inside this image. And that is a gigantic compression format. Think of it as, yeah, if you want intelligence. Why? Because it's not just object detection. It means that it compresses the complexity of the image into just little letters. That is what we do as we look around, as we describe talks that we hear today, when we later chat on with our friends, trying to tell them what happened today. We put into little words our very complex experience. And that is how we compress. And the more intelligent we are, the more on point is our compression. Now, when I saw this algorithm, I was totally fascinated, especially as a computer scientist, because this is not really possible from a algorithm or from a set of algorithms point of view. So if you have a rule-based condition, what would be the rule here that could create from any image, any text? It can only be done through big, big data and intelligent compression. And then I felt like, well, as artists, it's our task now to investigate what can we show to that machine. So we started with little images and we asked the AI, what do you see in this image? And the AI said, well, that is a man riding a bike down the street. And that is completely correct. But if you speak or if you show more abstract images, it starts to, let's say, fantasize. But yet again, what does that say about us? What do we see in that image? Are we so much closer, or is that image intended to never be spoken about, just felt? And that is here my favorite. It's a performer from Bauhaus, and it makes sense from the perspective of the AI that this is a stick, a ball, and a human. It must be a baseball player. But somehow we didn't feel that this is truly poetic. So we continued with the Rorschach test and showed the machine this image and asked, well, what do you think this is? And if you also believe that this is a close-up of a bird on a tree, then the possibility that you, just like the machine, are psychological sick is by 82%. But yet again, we felt like this is, again, the wrong question, not the thing that we should show to the machine. We should show to the machine the thing that we always, as humans, look at and yet never fully understand. And then thought, maybe we show the machine itself, because we always look at ourselves, yet we never fully understand what we're looking at and who we are. And then we thought, let's build a machine that has only that one simple goal: to forever look at itself, trying to find out who it is. And that is Narcissist. It is basically a naked body, a body standing equipped with a camera. So this naked body is a motherboard. So this body can think. There's a hard drive, it has a CPU, a GPU, everything that is necessary to perform the task to think about images. And on top of it, it has a camera to look into the world and record images to think about. And unfortunately, however, this machine is standing in front of a mirror. So the only thing that it can forever analyze is its own physical existence. On the back of this installation, we have a little monitor, a screen on which we can look and where we see what that machine is currently thinking who it is. And that's Narcissus. This is recorded here in Berlin, in a huge crematorium. And this is the installation. Now it's two opposing objects, again, the computer, and here the monitor and a circular mirror. And here you see the camera searching for itself, then finding its own body and writing down all the things that it has thought who it is. For instance, a woman taking a picture in the mirror. This is the searching head. And then it thinks it's a shadow of a person in the mirror. However, what about creative? Can machines be creative? And I think this is even more sensational because the most promising technology right now that I have seen from my perspective has been GAN. You probably have seen today already beautiful artworks that were created by this. And for me as a computer scientist, that this is possible is a complete sensation. So what those algorithms do is they learn a certain set of worlds. For instance, in that case, the world is Barack Obama, and then try to create new worlds, let's say alternative worlds from this source material. But in order to understand why this is so powerful, I would like to quickly sum up and describe how this technology actually works and what's so astonishing about it, at least to me. So first of all, it is a teacher AI, and this teacher AI gets to see data, let's say data of human faces, and then asks the student, could you also show me some images? And the student says, well, here you have one. But that looks very different than the data. And the teacher says, well, try to make some that look like mine. And the student tries for millions of times and after a while comes up with something like that. The teacher then says, well, that looks better. Try into that direction, continue into that direction. And after, let's say, a week, sometimes the machine comes up with something like this. Something then that in its concept looks very close and comparable to the data set of human faces. And then the teacher, we take it away and we take away the communication between the teacher and the student and only ask the student, well, can you show me what you have learned? And that is where you normally see those fantastic gun images moving over time from beautiful gun artists. But it doesn't mean that they collect data because this is the most important part here. The student here is now its own computer program that generates human face-like sensations without ever seeing a data set. Why? Because the teacher was the only one that had access to the data. So truly through a learning-like process, the student is a created machine that can now think of something like it. But who is then in that data set? Well, for instance, me and Jon Snow. And this is even though we have never been in the data set, and maybe we would have been born only in 50 years, which then would mean who is in that data set? Well, all your ancestors are already in that data set and all your children in every age. They are all recorded into a network with a size of 300 megabyte. And I think this is a sensational idea because that means it's also a miracle, and it means it is a time machine basically because it didn't store the data set, it stored all the variants that we as humans can have. Now, what does that mean, for instance, for the fashion industry? All those images here were created for the fashion industry 30 times a second. There is no photographer needed. There is no rental needed. There is no light needed, no model needed. Just 30 times a second. Also a completely new design of an outfit. You can simply create that. But what about 3D? And there is not too much 3D based upon classical gun. And that is mostly because it is one dimension harder. And I would like to real quick show what we have tried. We have tried it actually with different human poses and then tried to ask the machine, can you also show me a human body pose somehow? Just like you showed us to before a human face, maybe you can show us a pose. And after 2 days, it looked like this. It was our own custom algorithm. So we thought maybe let's give it 2 more days. And after 4 days, it looked like this. So all of a sudden, the student created movements in space that appear to us just like dance, but it is not. Why is it not dance? Because the machine has never seen dance. It didn't even saw a human body because only the teacher carried the data set of the human bodies. And from there on, we decided to continue our research and see what else we can create. We call this project Blackberry Winter. And once we knew that we had human bodies, we thought maybe we could also have human historic sculptures. So all the sculptures that we have made, and the first one was actually experimented with partners, AMCAM in China, and we tried to produce the first sculptures from this, and we continued with this, and then continued to process what the artwork Helen. Perfect. And then I would like to show you maybe real quick a last project, because what happened then, the pandemic has hit all of us, and all of a sudden the world got flat right in the moment when we started to build sculptures. And there's a problem for us as artists to communicate the moments with the sculptures, the narrations, and have discussions with others and the relationship to others in space, but also towards the artwork. So we felt like, well, the world got flat, but it also got incredibly ugly, and we need to find worlds that don't feel like every morning, every day, and the big event on, let's say, Zoom or Microsoft Teams. We need to find exclusive spaces that feel like people have time again. And that is our current project. It's called Journey, and it is directly in the browser, a whole global streaming service for gigantic virtual worlds executed in real time, without an app, without VR glasses, no download. Everyone can directly go in, and it consists of a global control server where we can ramp up servers all over the planet, from New York to Los Angeles to Europe, Frankfurt, and Asia. And yes, that is what we're working on. It works on every device and every browser instantly. It's right now already had video functions, live stream functions, of course, avatars. So you're a person and you are able to meet others and chat with them. And it has the possibility to voice chat and build complete communities. And that is what we have worked on probably since April last year, and what kept us all alive. But what I would like to sum up is that in most of our research, no matter if it's artificial intelligence or those gigantic museums that we're currently building for artificial intelligence and generative systems and computer digital art, I do believe that most paths have led me back to investigating into ourselves. So when you think about AI, I do believe that the most interesting question that we can find in AI is a mirror to ourselves, to discuss, well, if machines can think too, who are we then? And that is the same for our new Journey platform. Well, now that we can stream, where do we want to go, and who do we want to be, and what do we want to say? And this contrast between looking into computer science in order to use it as a microscope into ourselves, is what is fascinating to me since many years, and hopefully many more years to come. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you, Christine. Yeah, do we have questions for Christine? Okay, Christine, we're gonna have a short panel discussion like after around half an hour. So if you're okay, would you please stay for a while, and we probably have some questions from the audience, probably like discuss with you. Is that okay with you?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Christine.
Thank you.